Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really getting into something fascinating, an ancient text, Psalm 53. Now, you might just think of these as old poems, but this one, it packs a punch.
It really does.
Yeah, it talks about humanity, justice, God, stuff that's incredibly relevant right now.
So our mission is to unpack its insights and see how they can, genuinely strengthen your trust and relationship with God. Give us a bit of an anchor.
A much-needed anchor sometimes.
Definitely. Okay, so let's dive right in. Psalm 53. It's attributed to David, and it starts with a bang, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. No preamble. It just states, "The fool hath said in his heart, there is no God."
Wow. Okay, the fool. What does that mean here? Is it about intelligence?
Well, not really, not in the way we might think. In Hebrew wisdom, fool is more about a moral position. It's about rejecting God's authority in your actual life, living as if he doesn't exist. It's less about a reasoned argument and more about your core stance, your actions. Got it. So a practical disregard, not just an idea. And what follows from that? What does the psalm say happens then?
Exactly. And right after that line, it paints this, pretty stark picture of humanity.
Stark is a good word for it.
It describes people as morally corrupt, having turned away, engaged in abominable iniquity.
Abominable iniquity. That's intense language.
It is. It's not just about making mistakes. It's suggesting something deeper, a fundamental lack of understanding about what's truly good when we're left to ourselves. And then comes that line, which is, quite confronting. There is none that doeth good. No, not one.
No, not one. That's universal. It really levels the playing field, doesn't it?
It does. It points to a shared human condition, this tendency to fall short, even with good intentions.
Okay, so that's the human situation.
Yeah.
But then the perspective shifts, right?
Yeah.
To God's view.
Precisely. The psalm says, God looked down from heaven upon the children of men to see if there were any that did understand, that did seek God. It's like an active search, a divine hope to find someone seeking truth.
But based on the previous lines, the implication is he doesn't find many.
That's the strong implication, yeah. A widespread turning away.
And does it talk about the kind of real-world effects of this turning away, this iniquity?
It absolutely does. It gets very specific. It warns the workers of iniquity, those who deliberately do wrong, who oppress others, specifically God's people.
Okay, so there are consequences.
Definitely. It says God will scatter them. There's this striking image. There were they in great fear where no fear was, for God hath scattered the bones of him that encampeth against thee.
Wow. Scattered the bones. That's vivid.
It is. It suggests their power, however scary it seems, is ultimately fragile. God despises their actions, and there will be a reckoning. Justice will come.
So a clear warning. But, after all that heaviness, it doesn't just end there in despair, does it?
No, thankfully not. And that's crucial. It shifts to hope.
Good.
It ends with this deep longing. Oh, that the salvation of Israel were come out of Zion. When God bringeth back the captivity of his people, Jacob shall rejoice, and Israel shall be glad.
So a plea for restoration, for freedom and joy.
Exactly. It's this powerful arc, from this really tough assessment of humanity all the way to this ultimate hope in God's redemption and the joy that follows.
Incredible how much is packed into such a short text. It's clear why it's endured. So, okay, this is where it gets really interesting for us today. How do we pull out the timeless wisdom here? What are the core truths in Psalm 53 that still speak to us?
Right, that's the key step, translating it. And I think we can really distill, say, 5 main points of wisdom from this psalm that are just as relevant now as they were then.
Okay, let's hear them.
First, it's crystal clear. Denial of God leads to moral collapse.
Okay.
The psalm connects the fool denying God directly to abominable iniquity. It's saying, if you live as if there's no ultimate accountability, no divine standard, you disconnect from the very source of moral order. Think about when truth becomes totally relative, or self-interest is king. Morality can just drift, right? Leading to breakdown.
Yeah, you see that. It's less about philosophy, more about the practical outcome of living without that anchor. Okay, that makes sense. What's number 2?
Second, it highlights humanity's universal need for guidance.
The no, not one part.
Exactly. No one is entirely righteous on their own. All have gone back. It sounds harsh, but it's actually about humility.
How so?
Well, it means none of us have it all figured out. We all fall short. We all need help. We need mercy. We need direction beyond just ourselves. It stops us from being self-righteous.
And makes us more open to receiving guidance, maybe, from God.
Precisely. It acknowledges our shared need for grace and wisdom. Third, it shows starkly that corruption feeds oppression.
The workers of iniquity part.
Yeah, who eat up my people as they eat bread. It's a powerful image. When people, especially leaders, reject divine accountability, they start to see others not as people, but as resources to be used.
Right. Exploited.
Inevitably. Unchecked power without a moral compass almost always leads there. History shows that again and again.
Sadly true. Okay, that's a heavy one. What's the fourth point?
Fourth, and this is really important, it offers assurance that God sees and acts.
Even when it feels like he doesn't.
Especially then. When wickedness seems to be winning, the psalm insists God is looking down. He's aware, he's not passive. And crucially, he will bring justice. He scatters the bones. It's a promise that injustice isn't the final word. There's divine intervention coming.
That offers a lot of hope, actually.
Yeah.
Especially when things look bleak. And the fifth point.
And finally, number 5 is the enduring hope for restoration. Despite everything, the corruption, the oppression, the psalm ends looking forward.
To salvation coming from Zion.
Yes. That yearning for God to bring his people back, for joy to return. It shows God's plan ultimately includes redemption, renewal, gladness, even after really hard times. There's always a way back with God.
Denial leads to collapse, universal need for guidance, corruption breeds oppression, God sees and acts, and always hope for restoration. Wow. Okay, so what does this all mean for us today, right now? How do we take this ancient wisdom and apply it? And crucially, how does understanding this actually strengthen our trust, our relationship with God?
Yeah, that's the payoff, isn't it? Making that connection. Let's walk through those 5 points again, but with that focus. First, moral relativism. We live in a culture where truth can feel really slippery, very subjective.
Definitely. Your truth, my truth.
Right, and Psalm 53 basically warns us. Ignoring objective divine standards, living like it's all just personal opinion, well, it leads to decay. We see it when integrity fades or responsibility weakens. So how does recognizing this strengthen trust? Well, it highlights just how vital an unchanging moral compass is. If human standards shift constantly, they're unreliable. Trusting in God's stable, righteous character as the source of truth gives you something solid to hold on to. It builds trust in his dependability.
Okay, so seeing the instability around us actually pushes us to trust the stability of God's standards. That's powerful. What about the second point? The universal need.
Second, humility in self-assessment. Realizing all have gone astray stops us from thinking we're better than others, right?
It cuts down on the judgment.
Exactly. It fosters compassion because we're all in the same boat, needing grace. It's actually freeing. And how does this build trust? Deeply acknowledging our own need for God's mercy cultivates humility. And humility is like the bedrock for a trusting relationship with God. When you know you don't have all the answers, you lean more fully on his grace, his wisdom. You trust him more because you recognize your need for him.
Makes sense. Less self-reliance, more God-reliance. Okay, number 3, accountability.
Third, accountability in public life. That warning about workers of iniquity directly applies to leaders, institutions, anyone with power today. When they reject moral accountability, corruption often follows. We see it everywhere, don't we? Sustainable, just systems need ethics grounded in something more than just human agreement or power. How does this connect to trust? Understanding God's view on justice, that he hates oppression, that he holds people accountable, gives us a framework. It lets us trust that even when human justice fails, he ultimately upholds righteousness. It gives us hope and trust in his ultimate oversight, even when things look corrupt.
That provides a foundation, even when institutions fail us. Yeah. Fourth, encouragement.
Fourth, encouragement for the faithful. If you feel outnumbered, maybe even pushed aside because of your beliefs or your stand for what's right.
Yeah, that can happen.
This psalm is for you. It promises that injustice is temporary. God sees you. He will act. His restoration is certain. It's a deep spiritual anchor. And the trust connection. This gives incredible hope and assurance, especially when things are tough. It lets you deeply trust in God's sovereignty, his control, his plan, even when you can't see it clearly. Knowing he's involved and his light wins, that builds unwavering confidence and trust in his care for you.
That's huge. Trusting his plan even in the dark.
Okay, and the final one. Restoration.
And finally, fostering a restoration mindset personally. The psalm ends with that hope of return, of renewal. That applies to us too.
How so?
After we mess up, when we drift, feel lost, maybe caught in bad habits, the psalm reminds us God offers a way back. Always. It's an ongoing invitation to return. How does this build trust? It shows God's relentless mercy and forgiveness. Experiencing his renewal in your own life time after time builds trust like nothing else. It's not just trusting his character in general, but trusting his active personal desire to restore you specifically. That's intimacy. That's deep trust rooted in experience.
Wow, what a journey through just one psalm, from that stark beginning about the fool all the way to hope and personal restoration. Psalm 53 really does hold profound insights, doesn't it? Just as relevant today, understanding this ancient wisdom, it really can impact our lives now, reinforce our spiritual foundations, and yeah, really strengthen that trust and relationship with God. So as you leave this deep dive, maybe reflect on this. How will you apply this information in your life?